Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Pisces October 2018 horoscope forecast. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Anyway, people, first thing up is as far as October goes, the sun will be in Libra from the 1st until the 23rd. So the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, there could be a strong concentration of energy, focus, and attention on shared resources, sex, the sexual partner, an intimate relationship, taxes, insurance, perhaps astrological, occult matters, even inheritance could be possible, insurance matters, and transformation, and perhaps even dealing with crisis issues. Now, given this is Libra energy, perhaps this may be done with a lot of balance, weighing the pros and cons of things. It could be with certain ambivalence and indecision. It could also be done with a lot of tact and diplomacy, and especially in matters with a sexual partner or someone you're in an intimate relationship with, or even in maybe a business partnership with a shared resources situation. And also perhaps done in a way where maybe you're being very charming with certain 8th house people at this time as well. So anyway, and also wanting a lot of being fair-minded and also doing these matters in a very fair-minded and equitable manner as well. So anyway, equal give and take. Next thing up. As far as October goes, the sun will be in Scorpio from the 23rd until the 31st. So the 9th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, this could be a concentration of energy, focus, and attention on philosophy, religion, higher education, publishing, in-laws, grandchildren, traveling abroad, abstract thinking, expanding one's horizons, perhaps. And given that this is, you're talking about Scorpio energy, this could be done with a lot of Scorpio-like emotional intensity, perhaps in a very willful and intractable manner, but with a lot of transforming energy, a lot of probing, perhaps, but yet very secretive as well, and in a very passionate manner, but with a lot of resourcefulness as well. And there could be certain focus and attention perhaps on seeing through subterfuge and superficiality, going beyond the surface in 9th house matters. It could be especially with people connected with these, such as maybe someone you may know at a religious congregation, an in-law, or a grandchild. Anyway, next thing up is there will be a new moon in Libra on October 8th. So the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Pisces, this could be a time where you might begin a new Libra intimate or sexual relationship. It could be with an actual Libra sun, moon, or ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Libra-like characteristics. And also, it could also manifest perhaps in a beginning period of really having a very balanced and equitable shared resources situation where you might be an actual literal 50-50 split as far as that goes, and also maybe a very balanced emotional, monetary, moral support situation, equal give and take, perhaps with somebody at this time, and maybe even finding some fair insurance that you think is at a fair price and covers you in the way that you feel that you need it to be covered at this time. So anyway, and actually, the next thing up that I'm going to talk about is there will be a full moon in Taurus on October 24th. So the 3rd house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, when you have a full moon, I mean, this in being in Taurus and the 3rd house being emphasized and highlighted, you might be tired, full, exasperated, perhaps an overly obstinate, stubborn, stolid, impassive sibling, neighbor, It could be maybe even a cousin or somebody that you may have known from your early education. Full moons can also often be about the completion or culmination of something. This could be perhaps a completion or culmination of a Taurus-like writing. It could be something connected with romance, maybe something written about the earth, something of a monetary nature, value, something connected with architecture, perhaps. And also, too, this could be about really it. I mean, when you're talking about a full moon in astrology, it could also be about an unveiling or revelation. And this could be something where perhaps maybe somebody third house related. It could be a sibling, a cousin, a neighbor, someone that's prominent in your short journeys or from your early education. It might be uncovered something, maybe something about them being overly acquisitive, maybe avaricious, greedy, something very bullhead, something like that may come up Taurus related, connected with them. And in some cases, since the third house is about our neighbors, and I mean, it could be something too, and you're talking about Taurus energy, could be something of a monetary nature. Depending on the aspects it makes, it could be about an unveiling or revelation, perhaps of somebody that may be of a robber in some cases in the neighborhood. I mean, especially if it makes, I mean, depending on the aspects. I mean, let's say if it makes an adverse aspect to Pluto, Pluto can be connected with crime, so it could be something where maybe something comes out where there's some revelation or unveiling regarding maybe somebody in the neighborhood that might be some kind of thief or taking or has robbed people perhaps of money. So it could be something like that in some isolated cases. So anyway. Next thing up, Mercury will be in Libra as far as October goes, from the 1st until the 9th. So the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, well, this could manifest in some cases of having very balanced thinking regarding sex. It could be over a shared resources situation. Your mind may be weighing the pros and cons and maybe going through a little ambivalence and indecision over some 8th house matters. It could be in connection with a shared resources situation, a sexual partner, or maybe even taxes or an insurance matter. It could be just trying to decide between what insurance you might be trying to get at this time. Also, too, this could also manifest perhaps in very tactful, diplomatic, charming communications with 8th house people. It could be, I mean, it could be astrologers or anything 8th house related, tax examiners, people that you might be in a shared resource situation, a business partnership, or even somebody you're in an intimate or sexual relationship with. And as I've stated in previous videos, that Mercury can also be about siblings. So this could be about Libra, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant siblings, or ones that embody Libra-like characteristics, might figure prominently maybe in helping you deal with a crisis, or it could be in some cases they might affect you in a negative or adverse manner and connected with a crisis, might be causing one. I mean, depending on the aspects that are made to other points in your charts from this Mercury in Libra. But could also be where, I mean, it could be, as I stated, it could be Libra, Sun, Moon, Ascendant people, or ones that embody Libra-like characteristics. They could also figure prominently maybe in a transformation or major change you may do at this time as well. Anyway, next thing up, Mercury will be in Scorpio as far as October goes, from the 9th until the 31st. So the 9th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, you might find yourself having more incisive, deep probing and provocative communications and conversations, perhaps with in-laws, grandchildren, maybe people you know at a college, university, or at a religious congregation. You might find at this time that your mind really might be thinking very deeply in regards to maybe decisions and matters connected with your philosophy, maybe your religion, at this time. And also this is where at this time as well, where, I mean, as I've stated before, that Mercury can also be about siblings. It could be that Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant siblings, or ones that simply embody Scorpio-like characteristics, might figure more prominently in your philosophy. It could be with religious matters, maybe even in publishing as well. Anything that could be ninth house related at this time. So anyway, well, the next thing up is Venus will be in Scorpio, and it will be retrograde from like the 6th until the 31st. So the ninth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, this could manifest in some cases very secretive, private spending in connection with in-laws and grandchildren, perhaps. If you're unattached, you might connect with the Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, or a person that embodies Scorpio-like characteristics at a religious congregation. It could be through traveling abroad. It could be a foreigner, someone you might meet at a college, university, perhaps. And given that it's going to be retrograde for the majority of the month, you might be going back to a Scorpio relationship in a ninth house venue as well. And also this could be about also the enjoyment of Scorpio-like games with in-laws and grandchildren at this time, such as doing something maybe with a Ouija board, or doing astrological games, playing a mystery game, playing Clue, something that could be Scorpio related. And it's also a period where you really might desire more relationships that are deep and not superficial, and ones that could be in connection with the people you may know at a religious congregation, college, university, maybe somebody you're involved with publishing with. It could be someone, maybe an in-law, a grandchild at this time, someone you meet through traveling abroad. Anyway, people, hold on a minute. Sorry about that. Anyway, next thing up, Mars will be in Aquarius still, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, well, you may at this time be becoming angry, perhaps at idiosyncratic, unusual, or bizarre behavior in connection with aunts, uncles. It could be someone prominent in your private life. This could also manifest in some cases in putting a lot of selfless and humanitarian energy in matters in solitude and seclusion, maybe into helping those less fortunate than yourself, such as the impoverished, the oppressed, the homeless, and hungry. And also, you might be having more fights with friends that could be, that could be private battles that you don't really talk much about with others. It could be over maybe some kind of limitations or restrictions at this time. And in these fights with these people, in some cases it may lead to some self-undoing. Could also be, in some cases, unusual or unpredictable, spontaneous, angry outbursts can be the self-undoing as well. And now in isolated cases, this could be maybe some kind of bizarre or acrimonious mental illness that could be going on. I mean, if you actually have some, this could be one where you might, where there might be more anger in connection with it at this time, or if in isolated cases you may have some kind of emotional mental illness. This could be a time where you might become a little bit more incensed, maybe regarding it, and have maybe more spontaneous, unpredictable, angry outbursts in regards to it. So anyway. Next thing up, Jupiter will be in Scorpio still, so the ninth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, as I've talked about previously in other videos, that Jupiter can be paradoxical. It can be very benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. Now, in some cases, this could expand or enlarge a surreptitious, nefarious, even manipulative behavior, perhaps from in-laws, grandchildren, people you may know at a college, university, maybe someone at a religious congregation you go to, someone you meet through traveling abroad. It could be foreigners. Now also, this could be very fortuitous for going beyond the superficial and going beyond subterfuge in ninth house matters. It could be with in-laws, with grandchildren, people you know at a religious congregation, and also maybe it could be some luck in unveiling maybe secrets about false doctrines, about false religions at this time, and also putting a lot of an exuberance and enthusiasm into Scorpio. It could be subjects of higher education if you're learning astrology or something with the occult, or something with locksmithing or anything, and learning to become doing some with embalming or learning to be a coroner, something that could be Scorpio related. And also this could be about a profound philosophy that you may adopt that is associated with higher education at this time. So anyway, next thing up, Saturn will be in Capricorn still, so the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, you may be dealing with more restrictions and limitations and associated with association with friends, goals, aspirations, even stepchildren if you do have them, and it may be making you feel rather despondent and melancholy. Now, in some cases, this could manifest perhaps in taking care of a debilitated or sickly stepchild if applicable, or even a friend, an acquaintance, someone you may know in some group, club, or organization. Also, too, this could manifest in some cases as far as maybe even doing laborious work in a group-related situation with a friend or an acquaintance. It could be government-related, and it could be also getting structure and discipline in your goals and your aspirations, and really working laboriously toward your future at this time as well. So anyway, well, the next thing up is Uranus will be in Taurus still, so the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, you may be dealing with more unusual, persistent, stubborn siblings, cousins, neighbors at this time, more so than usual. You might formulate new financial ideas very spontaneously and extemporaneously at this time. The thinking, though, might be more, your communications might be a little bit more sporadic and erratic than usual at this time. And also, too, in some cases, that Taurus friendships might factor in might figure more prominently in your communications, in your short journeys at this time, and even maybe in matters with siblings and neighbors and even cousins, more so than usual. They may be Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Taurus-like characteristics at this time. And ideas you may come up with might come up very spontaneously and extemporaneously, just like out of the blue, almost like with lightning speed, very unpredictably at this time. So anyway, well, the next thing up is Neptune will be in Pisces still. So the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time for Pisces, well, you have to be more careful because you're susceptible, obviously, to drugs and alcohol anyway, but there could be even a greater propensity for this at this time, more so than usual. Now, in some cases, this could also manifest perhaps in the dissipation or dissolving of your vitality, your energy, and especially if this is actually hitting the ascendant, one's actual chart. The sun to some degree as well, because the sun could be connected with vitality. Now, if it's the moon, it's more on an emotional level. It could be more about emotional dissipation and drainage at this time. Now, it could be too that, as far as your new beginnings go, they might be somewhat nebulous and unclear, or another way this can manifest is that you may embark on a Neptune-like new beginning, such as something with photography, dancing, poetry, the metaphysical, which includes astrology, chemistry, pharmaceutical work, something that could be Neptune related, maybe helping others with some kind of addiction. Now, and also, too, you might be coming across as even more nebulous than usual on a first impression, and there might be some confusion in regards to your outlook on life. You may actually come into contact with someone Neptune related, or a greater propensity to come in contact with Neptune related people. It could be psychics, mediums, photographers, maybe even those that might be in some less fortunate type situation, or people that are involved maybe in drugs or in alcohol at this time. So anyway, and also too, you might you might be more susceptible to something Neptune-like affecting you physically, especially if this is hitting the actual first house in the natal chart. It could be something with the lymphatic system, or something with the toes and or the feet. So anyway, next thing up, Pluto will be in Capricorn still, so the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, I know a lot of you don't want me to say the dreaded D word, but you know I'm going to anyway. In some cases, this could be about the actual literal death of a stepchild, if applicable. It could be a friend or an acquaintance. Also, too, you might feel like your friendships might be being obliterated at this time. And but remember that Pluto is about rebirth and regeneration, so if something might be destroyed at this time, it could also be supplanted and replaced as far as Pluto energy goes. Now, guard against becoming overly obsessive regarding matters with friends, or compulsive in these matters at this time as well. And also, and even matters perhaps with aspirations and goals. Now, power struggles may arise more so than usual in group organizations, or even if you're in a club or a group situation. Now, also too, I mean, this could manifest as well, maybe trying to get power over your future in some cases, but also maybe dealing, really at this time, avoid manipulative behavior in order to attain some kind of goal or aspiration at this time, and even with friends and acquaintances at this time. Hold on a second again, people. Sorry about that. Next thing up, the North Node will be in Leo still, so the 6th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, when we're talking about the North Node and transit, this could be about issues one may have to confront or address. Now, in this case, it could be about having to confront a rather arrogant, dominant, bombastic, overbearing. It could be an aunt or an uncle. It may be somebody that you know at your workplace, or someone prominent in your daily routine or your health life. Another way this could manifest, in some cases, it could be a Leo, having to deal with a Leo-like health situation. It could be something with the heart or the upper back, or even something from, Leo energy can be nearly indefatigable and inexorable energy. If this is making, say, an inconjunct to a Pisces ascendant in one's chart, it could be a health issue, trying to maybe overexertion, or trying to use too much energy, which Pisces, energy really can't, Pisces generally can't handle, because Pisces is not exactly known for having, robust vitality or energy. They're a little bit more limited. So anyway, also you might be commanding or wanting to get more attention and recognition, and being lauded and praised for work achievements at this time, and for service-related matters as well, and also being directed perhaps toward taking pride in hygiene, in work-related matters, in matters just in general, perhaps in your daily routine, and maybe even activities, things you may be doing with an aunt or an uncle at this time, in health-related matters. So anyway, next thing up, the Black Moon Lilith will still be in Aquarius, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, one way this may manifest is that, when you're talking about the Black Moon Lilith, it could be about what could put us in a strong state of fright or trepidation. Now, in this case, perhaps it could be about maybe losing or relinquishing freedom and independence in one's private life. It could be, in some cases, when you look at the Black Moon Lilith, it could also be about something that comes out of the bag, so to speak, that you didn't want to come out of the bag, but it does anyway for whatever reason. And it could be over some kind of really maybe some odd, maybe a spontaneous or rather unpredictable spur kind of extemporaneous clandestine affair, or something that had kind of a bizarre element to it. It could be too that you might be finding at this time that it could be also that maybe friends at this time might be driving you crazy in the figurative sense at this time. And also too, there might be things that are going on on the internet and social media that might be tied into very strong secret sorrows at this time as well. And anyway, and also too, this could be about somebody maybe prominent in your private life, or it could be somebody that you may know that's in a less fortunate situation, such as somebody that might be homeless or in an impoverished situation, or just really in an oppressed situation that might be showing some kind of unusual or bizarre idiosyncratic behavior. Even could be an aunt or an uncle. So anyway, and also you have to be careful at this time, because the black moon oath could often be that the energy of that sign in a very negative manifestation. So we're talking about Aquarius and the 12th house. This could be about overly outlandish or bizarre behavior might wind up being oneself undoing at this time, and maybe just an overly exceptional need to be different or unique for the sake of being different might lead to oneself undoing at this time. And be careful that it doesn't wind up leading you into some kind of imprisonment, because the 12th house is connected with that as well. Last but not least, Chiron will be in Pisces, so the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, the Chiron, of course, is about emotional wounds and suffering. Sometimes it could be about physical ones as well. Now, given you're talking about the first house, this could be about dealing with some kind of dissipation or dissolving in the vitality. It could actually be Pisces, like physical issues connected with the toes, the feet, the lymphatic system. It could have to do with some chemical assimilation. It could be, in some cases, it could be recreational drug use or even alcohol use, even an inadvertent chemical assimilation such as radon. It might actually be some kind of surgical procedure done where there's actual wounds would take place because of it on the toes or on the feet. But also, too, this could be about going through some emotional suffering and facing strong repercussions, maybe just by generally being overly passive. It could be about being overly apathetic or indolent regarding initiating new beginnings, maybe overly passive over matters with someone from your early childhood. That's like, for example, somebody from that point of your life that you needed to confront about something that you weren't able to do for whatever reason. And the fact that we're talking about Chiron and Pisces being retrograde, be careful at this time, Pisces, because sometimes this retrograde Chiron, I believe, can often be about self-inflicted wounds. So if you're going through some kind of emotional suffering at this time, it's very important to be careful at this time, as far as potential wounds on yourself that could be self-inflicted. In most cases, I don't see that happening, but I think there's a little greater propensity for this, since we're talking about Chiron retrograde motion and talking about the first house. That is, of course, the physical body, especially if this is actually hitting one's first house in one's natal chart. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my Pisces October 2018 horoscope forecast. Stay tuned next time, where I am going to be talking about the natal chart of tennis superstar Serena Williams, and I'm going to be giving you a little overview and analysis of her chart. Anyway, people, two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.